I don't particularly like using the Voigtlander 21mm f1.8 for landscape photography. Instead, I think it's a fantastic lens for capturing parties under low light conditions. We know that 24mm is a more common wide-angle focal length. Think of the main cameras on smartphones, or the starting focal length of standard zooms lenses like 24 to 70 or 24 to 105mm. However, in the Leica system, 24mm isn't that common. The primary wide-angle focal length for Leica is typically 28mm followed by 21mm. Compared to 24mm, 21mm is 3mm wider. Don't underestimate those 3mm. The difference is significant. A 24mm lens can already capture most of what's in your field of view, but 21mm includes the blurry vision at the edges. If you're used to 24mm, a 21mm frame can feel overly wide, incorporating more elements that make composition more challenging. With such an ultra-wide-angle lens, the optical viewfinder of a rangefinder camera become inadequate for framing. You will need an electronic viewfinder or live view screen to compose your shot. Alternatively, there is an old-school method. Face this scene directly and imagine capturing everything in your field of vision, including the edges. That's roughly what a 21mm focal length will capture. Why does 21mm feel so wide? Because people typically focus on a narrower field of view, usually between 35mm and 24mm. Anything beyond 24mm feels peripheral. And if you need to focus on it, you will naturally turn your head to look at it. If you go further, focal length is wider than 20mm, exceeds the human eye's direct forward vision, creating a striking wide-angle visual impact. That's why people love using 14mm, 16mm or 20mm lenses for grand landscapes or architectural photos, or for environmental portraits that include more of the surroundings. A 20mm lens is common in mirrorless digital cameras, while 21mm often appears in rangefinder systems. 21mm isn't that aggressive as 16 or 14mm, but you can also feel the 21mm is so wide. Personally, I found this 21mm lens perfect for shooting at parties, especially when people are so close together. You don't need to step back to capture the entire scene. Paired with its f1.8 aperture, it performs well in low-light conditions. The 21mm focal length also avoids producing an overly shallow depth of field, so even with a wide aperture, if your subject moves slightly, the image won't blur too much. Another trend is using 21mm for close-up street photography, which creates a strong sense of being immersed in the scene. By using a smaller aperture like f8 or higher and estimating the distance to your subject, you can quickly snap a shot in an instant. The Voigtlander 1.8 weighs 412 grams, feeling substantial in hand, not much lighter than the later f1.4 version. Its build quality is solid, with a minimum focus distance of 0.5 meter and a fixed metal lens hood. In the used market, it's priced around $350, offering excellent value for money. If you're not a die-hard 21mm enthusiast, this Voigtlander is a great backup lens. Now let's talk about some issues. As an ultra-wide-angle lens, the 21mm is prone to color shift. Leica's native bodies have optimizations to mitigate this, but you can still notice that this lens produces slightly redder skin tones compared to other lenses on Leica cameras. When adapted to a Nikon ZFC body, the red shift becomes more noticeable in certain situations. Additionally, when adapted, the image quality feels noticeably softer. For the best ultra-wide-angle performance, this lens shines on native Leica bodies thanks to the thin cover glass on Leica's CMOS sensors, which is better suited for M-mount lenses. This lens isn't ideal for adapting to Sony or Nikon bodies. When I use it on the Leica M246 monochrome body, the issue of reddish skin tones disappeared. The f1.8 aperture combined with the M246 excellent low-light performance allows for high-quality photos even in very dim conditions. I'm not a landscape enthusiast. If you are dedicated to landscape photography, you might want to try the Zeiss 21mm f2.8, which might offer better sharpness. Alternatively, consider Voigtlander's 21mm f1.4. However, these lenses are significantly more expensive than the f1.8, so they are not directly comparable. Okay, that's all for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and like it, and see you next time.